This episode is brought to you by Justin Joyce and ANZ Mobile Lending Scarborough. If you're looking to purchase your first home or maybe an investment property or looking to refinance your mortgage, then get in contact with Home Loan Specialist that comes to you. Contact Justin today on 0424 094 323. That's 0424 094 323, or follow the website or the link below this video.
G'day, it's Jordan Lockyer here for the...
Put some mayo on it.
Great mark by Lockyer.
A real unit to go with it, real tough nut.
Mayo sends it straight to the...
Well, mate, are you? Are you going to play on anyone?
With it, real tough nut, real unit.
Stop playing like millionaires.
G'day, it's Jordan Lockyer here for the...
Mayo sends it...
Welcome back to Lox's Mayo, brought to you by Boom Radio. Well, what a few weeks it's been. We've had wins, we've had losses, we've had silent discos.
This episode poses some of the biggest questions yet in the podcast. Has Lox blown out post-surgery? How many kebabs per day is he on? Who is Phil Marvu and why is he called Doc? Is he the strongest full forward ever? Will stud Michael Brout be appearing on Ladies' Day this week? On that, did Della deliberately injure his hand to spend more time planning his Lady Day performance? The answer? Well, obviously it's yes. But what will the act be, and when can you see it? Aside from that, we have club captain Leigh Kitchin on the show to play the straightest of bats to all of our questions, but hopefully we get something out of him, otherwise this could be shambles. My name is Jack Mayo, and joining me is Jordan Lockyer, a man who said pretty 11 times on his draft day video. Play the clip, Vic. Play the clip.
This is an absolute stitch-up. You're an idiot.
Well, Jordan, welcome to the
Who is that
Swans.
rooster?
Your first day here. How was it?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty tough. Obviously, it's pretty hot, but it's been great meeting all the guys and just getting to know everyone. So, yeah, it's been really good.
Must have been a busy few days for you since the draft and then coming over from Perth.
Yeah. Oh, it's been pretty hectic. Pretty much got my name called out on Thursday, and then pretty much I was over here on Sunday and training today, so it's been pretty full on. But yeah, it's been great.
Talk us through what you actually did today.
We've done a bit of skills, and then we did 6 3-minute runs. So yeah, that was pretty tough, running about 800 each one. So yeah, it was a pretty hard run first up.
And have you been keeping fit in the lead up to this, knowing or hoping that you'd get drafted?
Yeah, I suppose I've had a bit of time off, but obviously I've been doing a bit of pre-season back in Perth with my local club there, so I haven't not too far, not in too bad shape. So yeah, it's pretty good.
10.
And you played in the under-18s in WA with Tom Mitchell. Have you caught up with him yet?
Yeah, I've caught up with Tommy. Obviously, me and Tommy are good mates, and he's a great bloke, and yeah, hopefully he can show me around and make me feel welcome.
Sorry,
That
mate.
wasn't that bad. That was only 10 pretties.
Yeah, sorry, I got that wrong. That was 10, not 11. How are you,
That
mate?
is ridiculous.
Are you pretty good?
I'm actually going pretty well, mate. Thanks for
Pretty
asking.
well?
Oh, what a stitch up. No, I was just going to say, we're awesome to have a sponsor on board. Hopefully we gave him a really good plug in the beginning there, but past Subiaco player and club legend in Justin Joyce coming on board. So, mate, thanks heaps, Joycey. Much appreciated.
The great man, Justin Joyce, on with us
Absolute
for a
legend.
couple of eps. So hopefully we produce some good content, mate, and keep him on board. We'll get to the formalities, mate. I mean, we'll get that out of the way, and then we'll get to the normal garbage we normally talk. But we'll get to the performance of the boys on the field the last few weeks.
Yeah, 100%, mate. So the reserves are up and flying. So I think we're sitting second at the moment, 8-3. So we're looking really nice. Hopefully the guys can
Few on the trot.
few on the trot. Hopefully, I reckon we're building a lot of form. Big Phil Carey was unbelievable on the weekend. So, for those who didn't see, I think Mayo alluded to it in his little intro there, but Big Phil, he's come out of absolutely nowhere, and he was Phil Carey. He was one out. I think he kicked, 2-3 goals in the last quarter?
Yeah, he turned the tide. Could have kicked a few more, handed a couple off, mate. He was unbelievable.
It was incredible.
And you take a bit of credit for getting him down to the footy club.
I do, mate. One of my good mates, Steve Healy, who I lived with for a little while there, he's the coach down at Wanneroo Footy Club, and he goes, mate, I've got this young fella. He's got all the athletic ability in the world. Just really wants to give it a crack. And to Phil's credit, he was pestering me a fair bit. I said, mate, yep, calm down. Convinced Bo to give him a go. And he came down a couple of years ago. I think he lasted 1 or 2 sessions, and he might have done his hammy. So he got the nod to come back again this year, and he showed how well he can actually, how well he can perform on the weekend.
He's developing. I remember I used to play on him as a junior. He played for Wanneroo as a junior, and Phil was built as he is now when he was 15. So absolute mammoth running through packs. And I remember we played him one day out at Wanneroo, muddy, wet day, and I was a little pipsqueak back then running around. I was so scared of him.
Where
Anyway,
were you playing?
I was through the middle, centre forward a bit,
Yeah, okay.
sort of doing my thing, pointing around and potting blokes for a change. But So I remember we played the whole game. We won pretty convincingly in the end, but
Yep.
Phil was crashing through packs, and I was shaking hands at the end of the game, and I shake Phil's hand. I'm shaking him because he's a big boy, and I sort of walk past him, and then he goes, "And number 10," and I turn around, and Phil's a quiet guy. I'd heard him talk all game. "And number 10, good game, my brother."
Jesus.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go." And
Did you actually play well, or was he just kind of...
I think I got 3
He's
votes
kicked 6
and-
on you, and he's just going, yeah, good game, mate.
oh, I think I got 3 votes, but we'll leave that for another day, everyone.
And then also onto the league. So we bit of a rough couple of or 4 weeks since we last spoke. So we've gone 1-3. What are your thoughts on the game so far, Mayo?
Well, I'm probably better to comment on the twos, but I mean the league seems to. I mean, it's hard. I mean, we've got a few injuries at the moment, and it sort of bodes well for opportunity for some younger boys. But at the same time, you've got to bear the brunt of sort of having a bit of a development phase. So I suppose that always comes with it. But I mean, watching the games, the boys have been competitive for large patches of games, which has been good to watch from our perspective, not playing obviously. But it's been frustrating as well watching, seeing just periods where teams get a run on us and we just can't seem to stop it. So.
I think definitely looking at the positives. Like on the weekend, we've got Hendo, Galen, both played terrific games. I mean, last time we played Peel, I think Hendo I think it was his debut game, and he got stitched up on Tracy, who's he's a big player, and he's a good AFL player as well.
Yeah, big body.
So for Hendo to have the game he did on the weekend, like that was tremendous credit to him. I mean, you see these young guys kind of coming through, so that's the positive, that we're starting to execute on a lot of our gameplay for big chunks of games, and we're giving opportunities to those younger guys. So,
yeah, as you said, mate, a lot of talent coming through, which is positive going forward. If yourself and Kitch, a couple of 35-year-olds, can hang on and see us through the next phase of things, but it is exciting.
So, I mean, you call us 35-year-olds. What are you, 20?
I'm 23 on Friday. Yeah,
23.
Little plug
And
for
what's the
birthday.
plan? What's the plan next year? So you've told me a few times. You want to maybe tell the audience what the plan is next year?
I think I have, and then you laughed me off the air. But I'm going to try and trim down and get to a spot that's not as physical as the ruck or centre forward. Maybe go to a wing or something, mate. So I think I average maybe 9 touches a game there for Sandringham on the wing. So
perfect. Just going to go full powerly on us.
That's going to really work well. So look, mate, a year's a long time in rehab, and trimming down is probably going to help the knee rather than bulking up like I did last time. So whatever I can to get on the park. But you're going the opposite way. Your creatine, mass weight, protein gain, you're just trying to get as big as you can.
I'm trying to stack it on, and it's not working.
Not hard.
I've lost 2 kilos. Like, it's just going the opposite way. We've just tucked into a good burrito. I've had the double scoop of protein. It's just I'm trying to get to the dollar. So if I can get to 100 keggers, I reckon.
What are you now?
Like 90.
Oh, that's what I am.
Yeah, I know. I'm normally 92, 93, so I'm thinking 7 kilos in a few
Mate,
months.
a couple of footy trips, a couple of Saturday nights, we'll have a kebab.
That's what I mean. You saw the good work I did on footy trip with
That'll
the
come
kebab.
naturally, mate. I wouldn't stress with you putting on weight. I'd probably stress the other way, mate. But mate, reserves, obviously we mentioned they're 3-0 since the last we spoke. I think they're 7 on the trot.
Yep.
A couple of good performances in there.
Definitely. I think the other one apart from Phil on the weekend was young Trey Kennedy.
Oh mate, unreal.
I just wanted to touch on that. He was phenomenal on the weekend. I think he had a job who was he tagging?
Tyrone Thorne, I think,
Yeah.
who won the league BNF last year.
Yep.
And so, tough job for Trey, but we gave him the run with roll, and mate, he's come up with 2 snags and 16 touches as well. So he's had impact the other way. And for someone like Trey, he's a very good offensive player, but to add that sort of string to his bow was awesome. And then we mentioned Phil, so look at his stats from the weekend: 13 touches, 5 marks, 4 goals, 2. But that doesn't do justice to his last quarter, mate. He unbelievable, giving off goals as well, and he probably missed a couple he should have kicked. But
mate,
that guy was unreal.
Very impressive. Now, Mayo, you've been on holiday. 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, a little getaway, a little mid-season. So
how'd you go? Give us a couple of stories. You sent a few Snapchats around that you were having a bit of a fun time on the town. So give us a bit.
Yeah, so I went to Melbourne. Obviously, don't get many July holidays playing footy most years. So I thought with the knee I'd get away. So I went to Melbourne for a week, caught up with some old friends there, and took a few schoolmates over. And then I thought, it's freezing cold here. Where do we want to go? Obviously, the Gold Coast is a nice little spot. So a couple of good stories. I mean, I had one.
You've got down here, mate, Kiwi story.
Yeah.
What's the Kiwi story?
Well, so I'll keep him anonymous because I don't want to embarrass the poor bloke, but I've got one mate who's recently out of a long-term relationship, and
oh no,
we're at a pub one night.
Where's this going?
We can cut this if you want, but that's fine. I probably should have asked him to tell his story. But anyway, we're at a pub one night, and it's one of these pubs where there's plenty of games floating around. Like there's Jenga, there's air hockey, there's everything, right? And so he and I have parked up, and the other people who are there have gone somewhere else. It's just we'll call him Steve and myself. We've got Steve, and
man, Steve.
there's a lovely lady behind us, and I'm thinking, Steve, we'll get the ball rolling for Steve. And I said, oh, hello, do you want to come over and play some Jenga with us? So she comes over, and I say, look, I don't like this bloke very much, so I have to play against him. You should go on his team, try and
clever.
build a bit of camaraderie. And she's, did you know, Kiwis, they go to year 13. She's in year 13 of school, right? So she's like, 18, nearly 19. But she's in year... I'm like, what are you doing?
Thanks for clarifying that.
She's like, I'm still in school.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Good to be at a pub. But she was like, year 13, 18, nearly 19. Right? And we're just, a bit of chat, right, going along and making fun of her accent, like, say 6. She's like, 6, say sex, 6, kind of thing, like, all that. And then eventually she goes, where are you guys going to go next? And I'm like, we don't know. Like, there's a couple of clubs along Service Paradise. We'll go there. And my mate, with no game whatsoever, having been in a long-term relationship, just goes, oh, look, to be honest, I think we'll just go back to our house and play Mario Kart.
I think the most surprising thing about this story so far is you weren't trying to snake him. Normally you were trying to snake all your mates.
No.
Is that where's this going? Is that it? The Mario Kart? Or
yeah, and then he realises the blue he's made because I've just sort of put my head down and he goes, oh, no, we'll get some drinks, of course, and enjoy it. And then 2 minutes later, she's like, oh, yeah, I've got to go. And off she went.
Oh, he's crumbled. He's blown his chance.
Well, what do you expect when you bring out Mario Kart?
How did Mario Kart go in the end, mate? Did you get home and play Mario Kart, or was he just regretful of his decision?
I didn't talk to Steve for the rest of the night. I was that flat with him.
Filthy.
Thanks, Kitch, for potting me during that story. That was good.
Oh, God.
So, mate, since the last time we've spoken, you've had some surgery. How did it go? How did you enjoy the drugs post? You're calling it the melt, I remember.
Yeah, mate. It was actually like, to give you credit, mate, it was a tough time. I think I said this to you. Don't think I've said it on air, but like having a knee reco is very painful. Is what I've learnt in the last 2 and a bit weeks. So that first week is horrendous. So I moved into mum and dad's place. Mum was kind enough to be making food like 3 times a day and just flat out. And the big thing is you just can't carry meals. So mum found me this little esky that I could put around my neck and I could literally put a bowl in the esky and then like shuffle it over to the couch. So she'd have all the meals lined up in the fridge. I just like kind of shuffle over in the crutches, heat it up, put it in the esky, get it back to the thing. There was a game ready on the couch. So it was a lot of love and attention. And then Em was coming over, most nights and just giving me a little bit of love on the couch. But I suppose the big thing is, mate, you need the drugs. Like,
you mate, 100%.
You are 100%. Like
I find the slow release were really good rather than the instant. Like,
I was loving
get you through it.
I was loving the Adam Oxleys. I was just literally just melting on the.
Who's that? Adam.
The old oxycodines. I was
It's like study sports science. I can't tell.
I was just having a couple, and you literally just start melting into the couch. But you're in that much pain. You just you do need them.
Yeah, it is pretty grim. And like, so you were back in with the rents, you were saying?
Yeah, back in with the rent straight away. So
and they didn't help you. They didn't bring the meals to you, mate. You had to go get them.
Well, they unfortunately had to work, mate. Mum was cooking flat out, but she just prep it all.
How'd you go with the ice then? Getting the ice in the gate. That's a bit.
Barge would fill it up in the morning, mate. So he'd fill it up in the morning. That'd get me to about lunchtime, and then he'd he might duck home at lunchtime, put a bit more ice in it.
Oh, mate.
They were going overboard though. I really didn't need it.
Okay, right.
But no, obviously very appreciative. They'll probably be listening to this podcast. So thanks, Barge and Michelle.
How is the knee going, mate? How's the muscle?
Well, I think my muscle's actually looking, the quad's probably looking a little bit better than yours, to be honest. But I'm walking. I can't even describe how I'm walking. Like it looks putrid. Like I've got our physio Phoebe trying to teach me how to walk again, and it's not going very well.
I think your problem with it is you're thinking about it too much.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it too much.
You've got a big brace, you got a knee. Like people expect a bit of a limp, but you're just expecting bang perfect.
I know.
2 weeks in,
I am walking no good, mate. No good at all. But no, it's all going well, mate. 3 weeks in? What have we got? 49 weeks to go. So happy time.
You'll come back early though.
Yeah, we'll be good.
Righto, easy. Look, mate. Thought we'd try a new segment this week. Like, should get some.
Are we actually rolling this, are we?
Yeah, let's roll. Because I don't think you've planned anything for this, so let's stitch up. I thought we'd have some structure to the show and do a bit of a segment. So obviously you love your trading, like press go, and you'll talk about Bitcoin or whatever for yonks. We won't get home tonight.
Wait till we get Kitch on.
Oh,
how much money I've lost, the big fella.
Yeah, we might ask that. And I don't mind a cheeky punt on the weekend, so I thought we'd start a little comp going forward, mate. We'll both start with $50. I'll invest a bit in some gambling, and then you invest a little bit in some trading and some investing. I'll obviously preface this, gamble responsibly and all that stuff, and odds provided by Sportsbet. Maybe we get them on as a sponsor going forward, mate. But
don't mind it. We'll send out the message.
Thank you, Sportsbet. But yeah, mate. Do you want to start, or do you want me to go?
No. You fire away, mate. You've got the notes. You're prepared. I'll have a little think while you get this going.
Look, okay. So we'll start with. So I start with $50, right? We'll start with. Got 2 horse tips for tomorrow. Riley Morgan loves his horses.
Is this straight from the Teddy Wishart playbook, or what?
Yeah, mate. Riley Morgan,
the Faguzzi.
So Belmont race 4, number 3. My Baby Blue Jean, paying $3.10. We've got Belmont Race 9, number 1, the Fugazi, $3.20. So what are we going to do there with our money? We'll put $10 on both of them to win, straight up. And then I've got a little multi rolling in Geelong at the line, 9.5 or more versus Port, and Carlton head-to-head, that's paying $2.50. So we'll put, what have we got left? 30 left. So I'll put 15 on that. And then last one, Tom Atkins 15 plus, James Sicily 20 plus for the weekend, and Brisbane to beat Gold Coast, and that's paying $2.20 as well. So I'll put 15 on that and see if we can get in the net positive for next week.
You've put a bit of time and thought into this for sure. Is this straight from Morgs, or have you actually gone?
No, that's, well, the horse tips are, but working at a pool shop in winter, mate. Get about 3
Bit of spare
people
time.
through the door. So that was
righto, so what have I got to play with? $50.
You got $50, mate. How do you want to tell us your options? Tell us what you're thinking.
No, well, I might just, seeing as you're being pretty aggressive here and playing with odds that are $3.20 and probably going to, I don't even know, you're going to 6x your money here. I'll probably go with, I'll just put the whole 50 on a little coin called Polygon, I reckon.
All right, what's the poly like? Tell me.
The poly, they've got a big announcement coming up in the next 2 days. So they've potentially partnered with Disney. So the coin itself is pumping over the last week. I think it might have doubled. I reckon there's going to be some. It might be one of those things where you buy the rumor, actually sell the news. But if the news is that positive, I reckon it could easily go up a fair bit.
So how's a coin partnered with Disney for people that don't understand?
Well, you don't want to go into too many technicals on the potty, mate. But they're basically like a layer 2 solution to like your Ethereum type of thing. So basically, just buy it, mate. This is what I said to Kitch. I can't wait to get Kitch on.
I had no idea. Have you?
No, but
you're obviously big on the investing, mate. You're massive on it.
Oh, a little bit. Where are you going with this?
I've just heard stories, mate.
No, I don't mind a little bit of investing, but something like this where you're looking to, you've got your weekend odds coming up, so you can aggressively move your money. I don't think I'm going to match you, but you might lose, in which case then I'll probably lose as well. So we'll probably see zero. All right, good segment. We'll check in 2 weeks' time and see how the funds are going.
Yeah, I'll probably be naught, and you might be.
$2.
Easy. All right, let's get a guest on.
Done. Let's get him on.
Our next guest has played 145 games so far at roughly 24 touches a game and 5 tackles as well. He's a 2-time Outridge medalist, a 4-time premiership player, the 2022 Simpson medalist, the current captain of the Subiaco Football Club since 2019, and one of the most energetic 32-year-olds you've ever met. Leigh Kitchin, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Just as Locke shows me, were you small as a kid? Is one of the listeners' messages. Thanks,
That's
mate.
a very good question there, Sully09.
Hasn't grown. How are you, mate?
Well, thanks. Very excited to be on this very illustrious podcast.
No, it's good to have you, mate.
You're one of the rare people probably in Australia that hasn't heard the podcast so far.
Oh, I'm saving it. I'm saving it for just some slow days. I really want to enjoy it, so I don't want any disruptions when I'm...
some slow days. Mate, this is some quality gold, mate.
No,
I reckon,
some slow days in a good way, so I can really listen and enjoy what you guys put together. I don't want any distractions. I don't want any phone calls.
Just so you can get some more of Lox's tips on how to invest your money, eh?
Yeah, that's going well. 67% down.
They're bankrupt, mate. You're done.
We can get that later if you want.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in the question section.
Mate, obviously, I've a little preamble there, but I've done a bit of research on you today, and we'll go through your career briefly. But pre-Waffle, so I understand you're at Frankston and Box Hill VFL for a while there. Google gave me nothing. Mr. Google gave nothing on that.
You didn't have much of an impact there, did I?
Well, you tell me.
No, so I played
Give
at both.
us the backstory.
So I started at Box Hill, which was the normal pathway for people who couldn't crack it from Eastern Ranges. So you went to Box Hill. It was a really good footy club. Enjoyed it. It was really uber professional, obviously being the extension of Hawthorn, and Brendan Bolton was the coach when I first got there. Obviously went on to coach Carlton, and then Damien Carroll, who's still coaching in the AFL ranks as well. So blessed with great coaches and learned a lot about footy. And then after 3 years of not really being able to crack into the senior side there, I made the long journey down Eastlink to play at another great footy club in Frankston Dolphins, which is a really fun place to play, and great culture around energy. I mean, very different clubs. It was all about less probably about strategy and structure, more about just giving it your all No, and they loved trying to win. Like it was still about footy and trying to be their best, but just approached it in a different way. And I had 3 years there as well, where I played senior footy and was captain of the footy club down there at Frankston.
Okay.
So they didn't make it onto Google, but
Clearly not. Frankston.
How old were you so when you first went? Were you 18 when you went to Frankston, or were you?
No, I went to. I would have been. I think at 18 in the TAC Cup. So I was 18. And I went to Box Hill at 19,
Gotcha,
through to 21, and then at 22 I moved over to Frankston, played 3 years there.
Yeah. Is that where you met the Big Diesel, or did you meet him?
I did.
beforehand?
I met the Big Diesel.
Because I've seen pictures of Della playing back in the VFL. He was carrying a couple extra
He had
keys.
a different body shape back then.
If anyone that's interested, give it a little Google.
He was still a jet back then, but probably played footy a little bit differently, and maybe not quite as seriously as he took it once he moved over here. But still. I was one of the great players in the comp there, really, as a 22-year-old, as a young emerging player. And I don't know, we played together for a fair while before we really got to know each other. We went overseas, and I went with one of my best mates, and Dalla was over there, and we met him in Vegas, and they were doing like the big, as you could imagine, Dalla in Vegas. Booth.
I've seen Della at Hippie, so I can imagine Della in Vegas.
He's gone the full Nuffy Australian Vegas tour.
Such
Get
as
a booth with your 10 mates. Not one person went in, not one girl entered their booth, one other person. They just stood in the booth in the corner. And at the time I was with Taylor Gilchrist, one of my best mates. And Dalla decided he wanted to come on our trip for the rest of it, and I had to pull Taylor aside and be like, you sure you want him to come on this trip with us? Because Dalla back then only ate Subway and margarita pizzas where he took the pineapple off.
I thought he still eats the same.
He still does, mate.
We're going
Has LCMs for breakfast.
We're going to Mexico at some stage in this trip, and a bloke only eats food that's not available there. He's coming with us.
Oh, that's so
Didn't
good.
brush his teeth. So
I remember the year he won the Sandover. I remember talking to Powley, and he goes, mate, I don't know how he does it. Wakes up in the morning, has an LCM bar, goes to work.
he's an enigma, that man. Just keeps getting it done.
Oh, mate. I reckon the shower would be the last thing on his list as well. Like LCM bar, straight out the door. Like no brushing the teeth, no shower.
I have a great photo of it somewhere. I wish I was more prepared for this. Of him brushing his teeth for the first time about 6 weeks into the trip, and there was blood everywhere.
That is grim.
But no, very good. It was the
Frankston,
best decision ever having Dale come on that trip. It was start of a beautiful friendship, you'd say.
Yeah.
As we understand, he came over. Did he come over a year earlier than you?
He
to
did.
Subi?
Yeah. So West Perth used to come and watch him play all the time.
Right.
All the time, pretty regularly. And he got the call and was flown over to play footy for West Perth. And Matt Boland was being headhunted by Subi at the time, so they came over together. They sort of knew each other through different circles, and came over. And I think this story is probably well documented, and he might have touched on it in his podcast, but I think taking him out on the boat was the thing that got Lockie over the line to play at Subi, where Bolo was always coming in. So it was a good move by Scully and Laura at the time.
And then a year later, you came over.
Did you get the boat treatment as well, mate? Or
no? So Dallas sold it a bit differently. He told Scully that I was a nerd and was only interested in footy. He sat me in the boardroom and put the magnet on the board where I was going to play, and that was enough for me. So
Della's got the champagne, the boat,
the Vegas experience, mate.
Vegas experience.
Laura was good enough to take me out on the boat a bit later on after I'd committed. But yeah, very different introduction to the footy club. But it was probably the right move as well.
How did that move go? Like them selling it to you? Did they have to push you much, or you're pretty keen?
Nah, not at all. I came over and saw the place and met the coach and a few of the players. Actually, it was the last Beaufort Street Festival was the weekend I came over. I mean, you're probably a bit young for the Beaufort Street Festival, Jack. Do you remember it at all? Yeah, so Fez and Horse and Toombs and Wertho took me out on the town that night to the Queen's Hotel, and it was pretty good experience as well.
How good. So 2015, you played 22 league games, Waffle Grand Final. Do you want to talk us through what your first kind of year at Subi was like? Or
it was a pretty great first year. Yeah, I think we lost 3 games, I think, for the year, from memory. But all pretty positive. I mean, the one of the big experiences, but I don't think it rained for the whole year for any of the trainings or any of the games combined. So that was a nice introduction to Perth lifestyle. We had some great players.
You're on a 1-year deal where I remember you saying you were going to come over for a year, try footy, and then maybe go back.
I signed a 2-year deal, but with the understanding that we'll see how the first year go. I mean, as you said, winning the premiership and having a great year in Perth, it was an obvious choice to hang around and go again.
Yeah, I probably oversold it there, mate. I didn't read all of Mayo's notes here. So you averaged 23 disposals a game. You finished with 20-plus votes in the Sandover medal count. Second in the Outreach medal. You represented WA against South Australia. It's a fair first year, mate. Any other stories or anything you want to share? Obviously...
I remember it being a really fun year of just spending a lot of time with the guys we played with. So our house was probably the hangout. Houses. We went for a few different houses at that
stage. So were you at the Lake House at this point?
No, my introduction was the Vic. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Park House?
Yep.
So we were there for a couple of months.
And this is weird. So this is with Della, Bolo.
Yeah,
Spawny.
Della, Bolo and the great Matt Spawn.
Yep.
I remember actually, I think I was first back after the summer holidays to move into the new house, and I walked to the door, and someone had left pizza boxes with pizzas in them on the countertop, and there was cockroaches everywhere. So it was a nice welcome over to and a probably good look into the future as well, what our hygiene standards were like for a couple of years there. But we started off in the Vic Park House, and then we had the 6 months at Nebworth.
Yep. In North Perth, is that the one?
Yeah, the North Perth.
I remember that one.
We were there for the granny for year one, so that was so lots of good memories at Nebworth, and then finally to the well celebrated Lake House.
The Lake House, mate. You ever get to the Lake House, mate?
Never did. Tell me more.
You missed out, mate.
Tell me more.
It's just a beautiful property across from Lake Munga that saw many good times.
This is back in the day when the boys did a lot of promoting on social media.
Late 20s for you guys.
Yeah, late 20s. So, what were we? Yeah, 29.
25.
Yeah.
25, 26.
Nah, the boys were in their absolute peak. So you've got, Della, Kitch, Spawny. Who else was living in the house at the time?
We had Andrew McGuinness, Daniel Hill, and Chloe Drill in a three-better. So we had heaps of energy in
with
that
the curtain floating around, eh?
Yeah. Probably giving away
times.
too many details here. No addresses.
Careful,
There's
mate.
lots of houses opposite Lake Munga Drive, so it could have been any of them.
Yeah, 100%, definitely anyone.
If you like the Kiwi story, could be anyone.
Steve.
Mate, what were your first... Yeah, who's Steve? Mate, what was your first impression of Scully? Serious operator?
Serious, but I mean, he has that... He can turn on the charm pretty well, can't he, in terms of go from being really serious to then having that infectious laugh and then go and be real serious and scary again. So I was just thought super professional. My first impressions were super professional, a little bit intimidating, and very direct and sort of, I think, very good at giving a clear idea of what I was going to experience when I came to Perth.
Beautiful. Well, obviously worked, flagging your first year. We'll move on. 16, 17. I've kind of grouped them together because unfortunately for the boys, it sort of ended up being the same those 2 years. Getting done by Peel and the Granny. But, mate, pretty consistent from you, 25-ish touches a game. A couple of state representations as well. But I'll go to the state game in Victoria in 2017, mate. That has been heralded as some great performance. Locks is piping up. Did you play Locks?
Yeah, mate, I played.
Oh, yeah, of course I got picked.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, boys. Well, hadn't been.
I think the highlight of the game is literally us singing the song, and there's this video of Della literally doing the straight arm with a Carlton, I don't even know, Carlton Dry, just like doing these ones, like we've absolutely won the flag, like throws it back at the end of the song, like it was just absolute carry on. I'll probably let Kitch elaborate. For me, that was my first state game, and I didn't really know too much about what it was about. And here's the boys. We've beaten Vic for the first time in X amount of years.
It was something like 100 years.
It was 100.
Oh, they were pumping it up the entire trip, and then we obviously got the win, and it was just like the lid was off, and we were in Melbourne. So
yeah, it was.
I'll let Kitch elaborate.
Awesome. It was well built. It was well built up. I think that trip, good lead up into it. Probably like a lot of blokes who are getting towards the end of their waffle career, I think, as well at that stage. Thinking back of that team,
Locks.
Not Locks,
Legends.
But you had some players who had amazing waffle careers, still going really well. But it meant a lot to them, and well built up the amount of time that we hadn't beat Victoria in Victoria. And I think they were probably cherry ripe. They'd picked a young side. We were probably with a lot of draft hopefuls. Mm-hmm. And as it played out, we went over and then we beat them by 70 points, I think. And they haven't played again since.
No.
But it was an awesome experience. It was just I remember the game was a great experience. The lead up was really good, and then Richmond afterwards. We probably picked the worst pub in all of Richmond to go to start with. It was Lax, I think, picked it, didn't he?
I can't even remember, mate.
I think it was, and it was just great sitting there and enjoying it and celebrating with everyone after that. It was one of the more memorable trips, I think. So it was a good experience.
And mate,
and Locks finally got picked in one, and probably a bit robbed a couple of years before that.
I've only been in the comp for 2 years, mate. I was happy with that.
Yeah.
do you play, mate? Yeah, of course I played.
Here he is.
Here he is, Panic. So I grouped the 16-17 seasons together, mate, because they kind of ended in the same way. Obviously, the boys got done by Peel and the granny. There was obviously a bit of controversy about it. I was trying to find the clip from Scoey in his post-game presser where he went nuts about it. But the Peel have basically got a lot of Freo players back for those games. How did you see that all play out?
We probably saw it coming a bit, I think. So the first year in 2016, they had they had blokes who, some of them are still playing in the AFL now. So that side was, I think they had 17 listed AFL players. Everybody else, 3 others were ex-AFL players, and the only one who hadn't played AFL had won 2 league medals. So they had a fairly stacked team.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought we actually played really well that day.
The bloke who hadn't played AFL was literally Blair Bell, wasn't it? Who was at the time was like their best player. He probably still is their best player.
It might have been. Oh, he's a gun. Well, Blair Bell's a gun, but that wasn't who I was thinking of. But they had a stacked side. And it kind of had that feeling, and this is just my thoughts on it, of that group knew that they were coming to the end of their time together at Freo, and they wanted to go out on a high.
Yeah, true.
And I thought they did a great job of that. Yeah. So it really, there was a couple of guys who seemed like the real catalyst for that at the time. Matt DeBoer, one of them, and Mazunga. Yeah, those blokes seemed like they did a great job of bringing them together, and they played well. They had a great final series. I think they came from 5th.
Yeah, they came from a fair way down. They were just like a bit of a wrecking ball just going through the finals comp.
Yeah, and they were great. And I didn't think we played that poorly that day. They had a really good side. The next year, I feel like we let it slip. Thought we probably had the better team, and we played. A bit rich to say, obviously they won the premiership. All credit to them, but we came away from 2017 really disappointed with how we performed on the day in big moments. So we just didn't capitalise. So that one was probably the one that really hurt, because we probably should have won that one.
Yep, definitely.
Which brings us sort of into the probably most successful year for the whole football club in a very, very long time, where all 3 grades won a premiership in 2018. Obviously that's probably a high point for the club, as I said, but obviously it doesn't count because Subiaco break the salary cap and hand out white goods, mate.
That's true. Every year, yeah. I know.
Every year. So how did you see that illegal flag play out?
I was running out of places to put all of the dryers and
that's why you got the ute, mate.
I know, yeah. I had to get a ute to start trying to move them around and hide them in different places. That year was awesome. Like that year, I think winning it and having... So we'd won, I think when we won in 15, you might correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the Twos might have not been successful that year, and I think the Twos might have won when we lost. So we hadn't had a situation where both teams had won, and you'd been able to have just pure joy, and then to have the Colts win as well. There's just so much atmosphere around.
2018 was like ridiculous. Unreal. That was so good.
And it's easy, like when you're still playing, you don't really reflect on it so much. But if you look at the players we had in that team, we were running pretty deep that year as well. When you had Greg Clark and Ben Newton on the wings, you know you got a pretty strong side. So that was a lot of fun to play in. Probably having Zach Clark that year as well, having
that helps.
A ruckman to give us a bit more service than we might have been used to in the past. I don't think I got a hit out that year because he just kept putting it down all the left footers like DeLuca's throat and out they'd go.
Oh, I thought you meant I didn't get a hit out. Like, why were you?
Why are you rucking Kitchen?
Receive any? So I'm still dirty on Zach about
Zach
that.
Clark, mate. What the fuck are you doing in the ruck? And we got Della. Like, what are you doing?
But that was it was a ripper year, and to have all 3 teams win on the day, it was
That was a big day because Twos played first, and then I was in the Colts team, played second, and then you guys late. They mixed the order around. There was always controversy. Were the Twos going to play on the Sunday?
That's right.
And then it sort of all came together probably a couple of nights before the game. And then before you know it, we got 3 grades celebrating a flag back at the club.
And the Colts cheated as well that year.
Did they? How did the Colts cheat?
I think there was some controversy about us putting someone behind the ball.
Oh, yeah. Was that you, mate?
Nah, they put some model or something back there.
Was that you who went behind the ball?
that was me, yeah.
Or allegedly you went behind the ball.
Well, yeah, no, I did, but I'll tell the story then. I haven't told it on the podcast yet. But as it went...
Don't let them take it away from us.
Because this is like investigated, like just a... Is that what happened?
This is all on Will.
You allegedly went behind the ball.
Oh, I can't tell the story then.
No, tell the story. Go on, mate.
I'll tell it. As it went going... as it went going into the final series. I think the coaches met throughout the Colts competition saying we're not going to play any looses behind the ball for long periods of time. We want free-flowing footy, not the 6-6-6 wasn't in then, but it was like we want to play free-flowing football and just give the boys a chance to play. And so 2 minutes to go in the granny, Swannies have just hit the goal. We're up by 2 points, and the runners come out to me. Jack, I've been full forward all year. He goes, Jack, come into the ruck. I hadn't played the ruck for 1 second in the year. So I go, all right. So I ran into the ruck, and he goes, Bo just wants you to be kind of smart and sort of be a smart ruckman. Don't bolt forward, but just our other ruckmen, they're going to just follow the footy. So just sort of hang around it. And so I go out there to the middle. I find not one, but 2 ruckmen who are arguing over who's meant to be on. And I go, oh, well, stuff this. I'm just going to go to centre half back and players are loose. Not knowing, right? And you can actually hear it because the ball comes to the wing and it's near the microphones. With 2 minutes to go, I'm getting a couple of cheap marks. And you can hear Bowie yell, Jack, you got to get forward. You can't do this. And I just turn around and I go, shut up. There's 30 seconds to go in the grand final.
So you disobeyed the coach's
I couldn't hear him.
Pretty standard, to be honest.
I want to watch the ground.
What you're saying is on your own accord, you decided to go behind the ball.
So on your own accord, you won the game.
Yeah. Off your
for
own
the boys.
By cheating.
Tick.
I'm a legend.
Story checks out.
So that was the whole controversy. And it looked like we'd deliberately done it because they were going, oh, this bloke hasn't played a minute in the ruck or centre half back all year. And
so they obviously didn't realise you just run your own show, which is kind of what you're doing now.
If they've met me, I think it's pretty obvious I just run the show myself.
Oh, that's classic. Oh, so nothing happened in the end. It was
no. There was a bit of chatter, and I think Swannies were pretty flat with Subi, and they thought Bo deliberately did it, but there was nothing untoward at all. It was just kind of a mix-up of comms, and I thought at the time there's a minute to go into granny. I'm just going to sit behind the ball. There's nothing I can do wrong. So we weren't the wiser. Either that's a really good alibi or the truth. So you can figure that yourself. And 2019, mate, we roll into that year. You were made captain for the first time. Obviously, you were sort of mentored a little bit by Horse. That was his second to last year at the footy club, but he sort of, no doubt, did he help you a bit as you transitioned into that role?
Yeah, definitely. So Horse was probably at that stage of his career where wanted to just enjoy his footy a little bit more and probably take a little bit of the pressure off in terms of the captaincy, and gives you a little bit it's obviously a very involved job at the Subi Footy Club, so probably a little bit more flexibility in terms of what he was doing around the place, but definitely was very supportive and just naturally, obviously, anyone who knows Horse knows what he's going to give in terms of leadership. That's how he carries himself every day, so that wasn't going to change. And I think it was a good thing for me in that transition to have somebody to just bounce that off every now and then. If you second guess yourself in what you're doing in the role, it's good to have someone there to just as a sounding board and either give you affirmation or challenge you in what you're doing. So it was probably a bit of a luxury being able to do that at that stage.
And then we obviously, how did you see 2019? So we actually were successful again, went on, we won the flag. It was Bo's first year as a coach. Yeah. So how'd you find that compared to the previous years? It was
obviously different. Different people had come into the club, both playing personnel and obviously a change in coaching. It was a new challenge for myself personally, being appointed the skipper, so taking a little bit more responsibility. I'd been Horse's vice captain for a few years prior to that, so probably had a good idea of what I was going into, but was pretty proud to get the nod from the playing group. And then there was lots of questions in the air about what Subi were going to be like. Thinking back, obviously Scully was had a huge influence on the club and was a big presence, and there was lots of questions on what we were going to be like going into that 2019 year. So to go through it and drop one game and win the grand final in a really convincing manner was awesome. And I think the playing group were really proud of what they were able to achieve. And thinking back to some of the games, there was lots of comments from players we were playing against about how are you going to go now? Dad's not here anymore, basically. So to go on and be successful under a new coach and with the same players being able to produce very similar footy was something really rewarding.
We managed to, the big thing about 2019 is I think we managed to kind of blood some of those younger guys as well. So I reckon the 2019 grand final, I remember Browdy had one of the best games I reckon I've ever seen. So if you go back and watch the first 3 quarters, he is phenomenal. Yeah. So getting those young guys through and kind of blooding those guys, and it was a good year for us.
Horse was pretty stiff not to win the Sandover that year. There was a lot of talk about it that week leading to the granny. Obviously, he was huge in that one.
Is this the year Della won it, or
I think
2019?
Sox won it. I think.
No, the Sandover.
No, Sandover.
No,
Sandover,
he's talking about Norm
It
Smith.
was.
Whatever.
Yeah, it was. No, but going into that granny, there was lots of talk around about horses reign as best player over the competition not to win a Sandover. And Browdy was amazing grand final day. Actually, looking at the year before, I think it was probably the best horses game in the 2017 2017 granny might be the best single performance of anyone I've
The
played
losing
with.
granny against
when he
Mill.
had 40, I think. Just hard possessions. But yeah, anyway, flashing forward again back to 2019. Like you were saying, that we were blooded a lot of players. It prepared us probably for the next years coming. Obviously, 2020 was a bit of an unusual year for us.
Yeah, we'll keep going with 2020. So we had 8 games. We probably struggled a bit with injury, really. I remember there was there was a point in the season where we probably had 10 of our best players or our senior players sitting on the sideline. So, I mean, how did you find 2020? Or what were your thoughts there, mate?
It was a weird year, wasn't it? Actually, like that was just a strange year. Footy was probably the best thing going for us. I always am careful when we talk about that because it sounds like you're making excuses, but we got to the point where we had so many experienced players out. Our team looked completely different and played differently together. I think at you might even be understating how many we had at some stage. I reckon we were looking at the team. There was probably 12 of our best players in your first 18 not playing at any one time. But we got ourselves in a position where we just needed to win
the last game against West Perth,
and we had a lot of soldiers back, and we were pretty disappointing, and we didn't get it done. So that was the end of that was a wrap on the season for us. But yeah, the first half of that season was really, really tough in terms of just having consistency and having the players on the park. But I think we had the chance. We had a chance. We had a window, and we couldn't get it done at that last game of the year.
Did that sort of contribute to like a bit of hunger for the 2021 season? Like obviously refresh the group a bit, shortened seasons. There's a big layoff between being successful, I suppose.
Yeah, losing's a great level like that, I reckon, Jack. It's
Thanks, Leigh.
I don't think, very, very formal. I don't think we had any. I never felt along from 15 on that we ever had any dip in the hunger when we were winning.
Yep.
So to say we were more motivated by losing, I never felt like there was any lacking of motivation or hunger to be the best. Maybe it made us pull our socks up a little bit though. Maybe we took a few liberties that year or. I don't know. And if we didn't, we definitely made sure we 100% didn't in 2020. So
I think it was more about just ticking the boxes in going into 2021.
Yeah.
I think we saw 2020 kind of wasted, and we were like, all right, here we go. We got to tick all the boxes in 2021.
I remember coming back to the group. There was a lot of referencing of 2020, and we don't want to be there again. We want to be the next step. It felt like a really motivated group to me. Maybe that's just how Subiaco's always been, but it certainly set a benchmark for how that season ended up playing out. Which we'll get to. Like you averaged 25 touches a game, mate. Had a great year. Won an Outridge medal. Obviously, we won a flag as well. So I suppose the main question is just how bad was Chad Harris on rookie day?
Geez, I got some photos that never should see the light of day. He was nearly kicked out of the club, I reckon.
I don't know. Have we actually spoken about this? Like, can we put it in context? He's been at the club for a week?
No, go back. There was controversy about him actually coming in the first place.
We'll skip over that.
No.
Skip over that.
Well, okay.
I think Mayo wants to talk. It's his podcast. So go.
He did. He made a long journey.
No, I'm saying it's a big journey. We hadn't seen him at all.
No, I think he went to Queensland to try and dodge doing the isolation. Had to isolate there. Then had to isolate again in Perth. Got out. Pretty happy-go-lucky guy.
Rolled in.
Good-looking young fella. A bit of swagger about him. Had the tats. Had the hair. But was very.
Sunshine.
Very conscientious. Gets to rookie day. And
he was keen to make his mark.
Oh, wasn't he?
Told the hardest man in our club that he didn't deserve to win the best and fairest because it was a loser. It meant nothing because it was in a losing year when he told
just came out swinging.
Stainsby.
It's like he had a vendetta against a bloke he'd never met before.
And that's when we realised Chad just needed to moderate his alcohol intake.
Just so good. On the gingers,
to get the best version of him.
I mean, but the best thing is, like, Chaddy's actually a ripper. Like,
oh, yeah, great.
I mean, what a pickup. Like, he was obviously worst on rookie day, and I think he was pretty poor again this rookie day as well. But and a couple of footy trip moments and so forth. But yeah, what a pickup Chaddy was.
He was massive in the change of our psyche, I think, as well, from 2020 when we were very serious and everything was a bit negative, a bit glum. To have someone come in with like that, just
and be a funnel.
Infectious positivity.
Just missed the positive.
He was massive for us, and I think he changed to sort of the bravado of the team a little bit by having him in there. I think he definitely energised some of the older players on the list.
Yeah, that's a good call.
It was great at sort of connecting the older and younger players together as well.
Bit of spirit and a bit of a flair about it.
Yeah, definitely.
We added some new guys that year, so we obviously added Fish. Clarkey stepped up massively. Nick Martin came up from the. Was he playing Colts in 2020?
Or Colts or reserves.
Was he playing
Either
reserves?
way, he exploded.
Mate, he came up in 2021, and he was obviously phenomenal as well. So we had those, a few recruits. Guys stepped up, like I said, GC, Nick Martin, etc. So 2021 was a good year, mate. You averaged 25 touches again. Mayo just touched on it. When do you stop? What are you averaging this year?
I couldn't tell you what I'm averaging.
Keep track of
That's
it,
your
or?
job, isn't it? You guys are the
It's definitely not Locks'
This is
job.
Wikipedia's
He
job,
doesn't do any research.
But I love it still.
Yeah.
Hopefully keep going for a little bit longer. I had a couple of challenges this year, but I don't think they're age related. They're just unfortunate at times. You
said a really good quote to me once, which is awesome, I think, for anyone sort of approaching that age. Looking at you, Jordan. But like you said, that as you get older, it's not about the skills drop off or the injuries amount. It's just maybe you aren't as willing to put in the work as you once were. And when you're always in the gym, you're taking care of your body really well. I think that's a really good quote to sort of help with longevity, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, it's just something I've observed, I guess, seeing lots of older players, or lots of players throughout their journey in footy. And I reckon I'll give you a little insight into my mind here, Jack, but you're kind of almost on a bell curve, I think, where obviously you're going 18, 19, 20, you're doing everything. Footy, for me anyway, that's your life. So you would pour as much into it as you could you'd spend 3 hours in the gym, no problem. Then you start to get to 25, 26, things probably get a bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
You're established, you're playing footy.
Body's moving well.
Yeah, maybe you take the foot off the pedal a little bit and you're maintaining, and then you start to decline. If you just keep maintaining, you're on the way out. And you forget how hard you have to work when you're 18 and 19. So I kind of think if you apply that sort of model 18 and 19 again later in your career, if you still have the time and the freedom with other commitments to do it, hopefully you can go a bit longer, and obviously need a bit of luck on your side as well.
Absolutely.
What do you reckon of that, Locks?
No, it's good insight, mate. How many more years do you reckon you can suck out of your body? What do you reckon? Rough number. I
kind of think I've never been that fast. Can't jump very high. Maybe that's been good because
have you slowed down? Have you noticeably hey, I'm running pretty slow here?
I don't think so. That's why I have the fluoro boots, because it gives you the perception of being
speed
faster.
demon.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't think so much. I don't know. Maybe the short steps have played in my favour. Not putting too much strain on the
inside me, getting around, getting your little tackles.
No, I don't know. I'm really enjoying, even without having a lot of success so far this year. I'm loving being around the group. So things go well next year, and then reassess again after that. Yeah, you're trying to move me on.
No, not at all, mate. I'm just curious. I'm trying to probably get some more insight to see how I can string some more years out of my career.
Let me know when I'm a list clogger, and I'll get out of there.
Right, list clogger, you're out.
They might move me on. Who knows?
Oh, how good.
Which brings us into this year, mate. How have you seen the season go? So obviously not where we're used to be at this stage of the season, but there are positives to talk about as well.
Yeah, outside of 2020, we've never not been the minor premiers, so very different season. It was nice hearing you guys touch on some of the positives in terms of young players developing and getting opportunities, even though over just the last few weeks. I think the guys that you mentioned, Lockie Henderson and Galen Savini, have both been terrific for us, and I think it was really well picked out, Locks, with how Hendo obviously had that challenge and came back and now has played 2 great games of footy. And learnt from his first experience. And I think for young players coming into our team, most young football's journey, except for the out and out guns, is you come in, you play a game or 2, you get dropped. You come in, you play a game and get dropped. You come in and then it's a bit of that until you establish yourself. Looking back at the start of the year, it was rapt to see Noah Ash come in and be able to play 9 games in a trot. That's really hard to do for a young player. I think we've had... Sorry?
No, you go.
We've had 18 debutants through the first 12 rounds, so that's probably unusual for us to have so many outside of the year we touched on in 2020. and you've seen some guys really take that opportunity, and others will be better for it as well next time they come back in, because that's just probably the journey that a lot of footballers have to go through. So for those who have come and debuted and then probably gone back and played reserves footy, hang in there, because that's pretty much what you have to work through as your apprenticeship.
There's definitely an art of just throwing someone into the deep end. You can do it haphazardly, right, and just throw them in there and leave them, or you throw them in there and you've got players like Jordan Lockyer mentoring a Henderson off field, and you learn things from there. Like, I think, you know, as you mentioned, the traditional ways, you bang the door down at twos level and you get a quick look, but if there's one luxury this year, is that you've been able to throw players to the wolves sort of thing, and then teach them along the side. And hopefully that holds us in good stead into 2023 when Locks and I are on the wings.
A couple of wingmen.
Yes.
I think that's the thing, mate. You've like literally, I reckon you're probably doing your apprenticeship until you've played like 50 games. Yeah. So you can't underestimate how like fresh it is when you're playing your first couple of games, or even your first 50 games. Really, like it takes you a while to get up to speed. So, mate, full credit to the guys this year. I think it'll definitely hold us in good stead, kind of moving forward and going into 2023.
Look, we thought we'd get you on the line, friend of the show, just to talk a bit about Ladies' Day this week. The fans want to know, a bit of a plug for it, mate.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
That's it, the first caller ever.
Can we give some context into why we're calling Della?
Yeah.
Della loves Ladies' Day. He builds it up like it's the greatest thing ever. I mean, you've got your premierships, but in Della's mind, above that, you've got Ladies' Day and the Ladies' Day performance, which what do we call it? Subi's Got Talent. So I mean, Deez has probably won 3 of those.
Yeah, 3, Pete.
And
Three. Yep.
Yeah, Del, you want to elaborate on that, mate?
Oh, happy to. It's that I'm so fondly about. You're absolutely right. It does. It shadows all premierships or anything we've done as a collective group over the last decade. But I might add, I've only been at 2 football clubs in my time, and a combination of 6 Talent Quest victories over 6 efforts. So
hold on, you've been at least 4 football clubs.
Yeah, well, the 2 that have run Talent Quest. Right, okay. I've only been at 2 that have run Talent Quest, and I'm 6 from 6, and then looking forward to make it 7 on Saturday.
And mate, well known for spending a bit of coin with your performances. What's the most you've spent, and on what?
Yeah, last year definitely takes the cake. I think in total it tipped just over 1,500 for the treadmills and props. So it was a bit of a crisis. If you can remember, COVID was lingering, so treadmills were a scarce commodity. So I had to pay a premium well above market value to secure 6 of them for the Yak. So timing wasn't great. I'm not going to lie with that performance, but look, it worked. We got the result, and so it really paid for itself.
And are you confident this year, mate? Or how much time have we put in this year? And can you maybe give us a little bit of a glimpse in how much you've actually spent on the props?
No, this year is, look, we're going in unprepared, and I hope it's not a reflection of what you see
arrogance.
I'm just confident. You get to the point in your career where you're confident in your own abilities, and that's where we're at. We just know if we can bring our A game, we'll get the cookies. So
this is like talkback radio where we can argue with our listeners. Mate, I can't buy that for 1 second.
There's no way he's in bed either. Mate, he's prepped his speech. He's sitting in his lounge room.
Mate, you've taken the last 8 weeks off with some sort of injury, and then you roll in the Monday of Ladies' Day that week. We're reckoning you're not prepared.
I can't he's played it down this year too. He's taken a real passive role.
So good.
Oh, mate,
I think that's probably because he's scared.
So, to be honest, we had a meeting after training, and I come home and I was a bit of a mess. You can talk to Georgie because I just said, we don't have the act to win it. So we have spent the last hour and a half brainstorming ideas on how we can turn this act around.
Where you at with it, Georgie?
I've walked out. She's it's men's talk here, so I'm not talking about something important and fond to me. So yeah, I'm a bit concerned. We've got a few ideas there that are lingering. They're going to regather the troops tomorrow, and I think by Saturday we'll have something that the fans and the voters will cheer for.
So who's going to impress from your group, mate? Rig or personality based? Who are you looking at?
We've got some big names. Like we've got the A graders, your Ryan Borchett, Chad Harris's. So that alone should carry a fair bit of weight. But then we've got the silent assassins in Post Malone. There's a couple there that I can't remember their names. I'm joking.
Never learnt their names.
No, we've got a good crew. We've got a really good crew, so I'm excited.
Love it, mate. Absolutely love it. So
you've heard of their first Big Dallas team. He knows 3 of you.
Good work. Guys, I'm Locke and Delahunty. I'll be leading.
Who are you? Who is this bloke?
You all stand in the back and let me do my thing.
I'm at the spin.
This is me time.
We've got Endo.
Which one?
We've got Brock.
Which endo have you got?
Ryan.
Ryan? Lachlan or Campbell? You can have one of those two.
Does he work in retail or is he a tradesman?
He does a bit of both. We've got Smiley. We've got the happy one. So
They're both happy, mate.
Campbell.
They're both happy,
Another
mate.
great Dimatina
yeah,
coffee
the one just
employee.
smiles all the time, right? He just doesn't stop smiling.
Yeah, he's
so
a good man.
He's a great man. So yeah,
Oh,
he's
that's
a good
great.
inclusion. We got little. I've had to buy Connor Ferroni's ticket to Manchester United because he's going to the game and he paid $80, and I said I'll buy it off him so he can compete. So he's no longer going to that match. So that shows his commitment to the boys.
I love that.
And if any listeners want a ticket to the Man U game, I've got one. So
What are you flogging it for?
That's the commitment from Connor Ferroni.
So what are the details for the event? What time are we kicking off? Subi's Got Talent for anything?
I've had no involvement this year, so you're asking the wrong bloke. But
Can't buy it for a second.
I expect after there's no awards typically, and then while the girls are still very happy and enjoying the night, and before it gets too messy, I think we try to get through the acts pretty quickly.
You want to get there early, really, if you're going to enjoy the day. You want to be there for the game, not watch any of it as one of the ladies. And
If any of the ladies that are listening, I mean, like, it's a great day for just to appreciate all the Subiaco women that are in our lives. So any ladies that are listening, this Saturday, make sure you get a ticket and come on down. I think there's events and so forth planned throughout the day, and then you've obviously got the highlight at the night time at around, I think, 6:30. Where Subi's Got Talent steps out, and you see the
listens you think you get on a regular basis, Jordan? I can't imagine the demographic would be
6 or 7,000 locally. I
think my mum listens to it, so mum, if you're listening, then make sure you get a ticket and come down. But no, Mayo's got all the stats, mate. So.
Yeah, so I've just been fed the info. $80 for a ticket. Watch the League boys dominate Claremont. As much as you can drink for 2.5 hours.
That's for the boys.
That's
I
the
believe
boys.
a couple of models.
As much. Yeah, so
as Mayo. So for that
Wow.
as well. So some painting of topless men, and I think Jordan, you've signed up for that, which is great.
I did hear that actually.
Mate, you've mowed the rig last night. trimmed the rig.
Confirmed.
You've got a haircut.
How many
You're
forces can we get on one
absolutely
podcast?
getting modelled on Saturday.
I did get a haircut. That's probably the only truth that's come out of your mouth just then.
Come on, mate. Don't tell Furfies here. You're ready to go.
I have not signed myself out to be painted.
You are ready to go, mate.
You have to come down on Saturday.
So I think it's
confirm that.
$80 and then $100 if you want to go into the private booth and paint locks for a bit.
That's money well spent. Much like the treadmills, that's a free
Oh,
gift.
worth it, isn't it?
Perfect.
It's like a Man U ticket. Kitch, what's your act, mate? Do you know
it's
anything?
top secret, obviously.
Of course.
But we did have so that's probably the prestige that I hold this podcast in, that I missed our rehearsal tonight to be here.
Wise.
But we do. Like, Aaron Breeman's really stepped up. So
Has he? Wow.
he's
Actually,
taken
there
a
was a
lead
couple
role.
of girlfriends down at the club. Did you believe that?
I
when We were
did.
trying to,
Yes.
that's taken it to another level. We've never had.
Yes.
You know,
Who was
outside
spotted
sources
down
coming
there?
in.
Who did you see?
Oh, I can't
I've
comment.
seen Sarah.
So Sarah was there,
Sarah was there.
and Al was there as well. Both
Al was definitely there.
Yeah, did spot her as well. And
Both part of Mayo's group, I think.
both dancing pedigree.
Yeah, I can't comment.
Yeah, yep, definitely.
Sorry.
Al definitely is. I'm sure Sarah is. Well, that's So they're taking it to another level, and they were very much instructing and commanding what it's going to look like. So I try to get a bit of a glimpse of the action,
good.
but
That's
was
not
told
my
where to
group.
go pretty quickly.
My group's Aaron Breeman leading the way. So
You guys are screwed.
We'll be fine.
You're in trouble, mate.
I love his passion.
Oh, great.
Well done, boys. All right. Diesel, if you couldn't tip yourself, who would you tip going into it?
That's where it's really difficult. I can't give you
Length
much
of the straight, you reckon?
outside. I just think it's
Who's coming in second, Diesel?
2 seconds. It's always you can throw. Hat over the three of them. And
Do you want me to feed yourself?
He also run. Joycey was pretty good at coming runners up.
He did. He comes around 2 years in a row. Fez always got a token second.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fez's old boy was loving him.
Joey feeling when they gave them second prize for him.
Was Laura voting one year?
Playing drums on the bucket. That was one of the all-time.
Do we want to
tragedies
feed
of
Della
ladies'
any more names that he could just come up with?
That was the best part. Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for the call, Diesel.
No, mate. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Diesel. I think we might let
So
him
they
go.
got Diesel, the length of Minotaur Strait,
Mate, Diesel plus his team, he doesn't know.
then his team, and then the rest.
Oh,
Pretty
brilliant.
much. Good night, boys.
No,
See you, mate.
Oh, mate, catch up. Thanks,
Night,
for coming
George.
on.
All right, boys. That'll do us, I think. Thanks for coming in on Kitch. Well,
Thanks for having you on. No, it was a pleasure.
Thanks for having you on. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for having you on. Boom Radio, thank you. Joycey,
mate, one more shout out to the Joyce man.
Great man.
Absolutely sponsor of the show. Sorry.
Can I ask one thing there?
Yeah, 100%. Go for it, mate.
What are you doing with the funds?
The funds are going to the players group, mate.
Oh, very good.
They're actually going to do up the facility, so that was one of the big things. So,
Joycey, you're a king.
Joycey, you're a bloody good man. So I would give you another pump, but I've lost the script you've written for me. But listen to the beginning of this podcast and halfway through for the segment that we've dedicated to Joycey. So thanks, mate.
If you want to make a smart financial decision,
he is your man.
Justin Joyce is your man.
See how easy it is? Just come up with a plug on the spot, mate.
Boom.
Will's got something for us.
Anyone else wants to sponsor?
Yeah, if anyone else wants to sponsor us, like we mentioned, Sportsbet.
He got a good plug tonight, and there's lots of time to fit them in.
What do we got?
Segments?
200 plus listeners.
But they're hot leads.
All right, boys.
No, wrap us up here, mate.
Good work. We're done. For the 3 people that made it this far, well done.
Yeah, thanks for having me, gents.
Awesome. Thanks, Kitch.
Thanks, Boom Radio.
Yeah.
This has been a Boom Radio podcast. For more, head on over to our website, boomradio.com.au.